What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new tactic video. Today is going to be the ultimate 4-3-2-1 tiki-taka tactic. That is right, the formation works perfectly for a fast-paced style of play. Passing is key, high possession, good pass completion, and tons of chances created. Let's get into it. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe. A little heads up, we've got 20% off all Patreon tiers this month, so make sure you go on over into the description and get all of the tactics and all of the rebuilds to your disposal. Let's get into the test, and first up is going to be the best team in England. That is going to be Ipswich Town. So a little bit of a lie, but hey ho, one of the better teams from last season, at least in the Championship. So we can claim that. But overall, a very, very fun team to use and actually quite suit this system well, because you can use Chaplin, you can use Sammy, you can use everyone in this system, and it works really, really well. And as you can see, we're not going to win the Prem, obviously, but we are going to finish in the top four, with George Hurst being a big, big part of our success in that season. The Carabao Cup, we also are going to win against Liverpool 2-0 with George Hurst and Hutchinson, who, by the way, is one of the real star players, helped us big time in winning that competition. Now, in terms of the actual Premier League, we can go over and look at the team overview. We are going to outscore everybody. Possession-wise, with Ipswich Town, we're going to be in 6th place with 56% of the ball. Defensively, not half bad either. 4th and also joint 3rd when it comes to the clean sheets. Now, when it comes to the pass completion, we're actually very, very good. 4th place with 90% pass completion, which is absolutely phenomenal with a team like Ipswich. Now, in terms of that general performance, we're not going to go and score loads and loads of goals. We are a relegation-favoured team, but 2.21 goals per game, only 0.8 conceded, over 11 shots a game, and a good pass completion, close to 91%, which goes toe-to-toe, literally, with Man City, Arsenal, and Liverpool. So, at the end of the day, we've taken a tactic here, and we've turned Ipswich into, well, Champions League team. It's not bad, is it? But just to showcase, with a team like Ipswich Town, despite going a goal behind, which a lot of people start to freak out with, when they go a goal behind, they start freaking out. You don't need to freak out. We were using the defensive version of the tactic as well, and we still were able to go and score goals. As you can see right now, a great bit of play right there, and we actually go on to win this game in the 65th minute. Morsey is going to find Johnson right in the middle. Direct. We love it. We're then going to go over and test with Borussia Dortmund because, do you know what, I rarely use them, and I thought let's just go over and test with a not clear powerhouse in the German league. Now, the Pockle didn't go too great. We do lose to Bayern Munich, as you can see, 2-1, to a close game, but of course, am I that fussed? No, I'm not, because we win the Champions League in extra time over Real Madrid. A very close game, but we do get the job done. And the actual league was quite convincing, to be fair. We do actually lose 2 games. The rest of it was either wins or draws. Adeyemi, a fantastic season. And also Cabell picking up the most clean sheets. Now, one thing this tactic didn't let me down with is actually getting more possession than Bayern Munich, Bayer Leverkusen, 2 teams that dominate the ball usually in Germany, were nowhere near us this season. We also, because of that, didn't outscore Bayern because we were a lot more controlling, but it didn't really matter. We won the Bundesliga. We don't always need to be top goal scorers. We are clear favourites when it comes to the defensive side of the game. I mean, literally possession, pass completion, fewest conceded. What this tactic is designed for is what we've done well in, so I can't really argue it. And obviously, we are Dortmund, so there is going to be more goals. Defensive record is absolutely incredible. Nearly a 91% pass completion, 0.3 shy of it, and over 14.5 shots. So you always round up, so it is going to be 15 shots per game and a 91% pass completion, alongside of, well, winning the Champions League and the league. Yeah, not really going to top that one. Of course, the Champions League final, again, it didn't start off great, and cue for potentially the worst mistake you have seen in Football Manager, because how about that from Cabell? An experienced goalkeeper doing that in a Champions League final? I spent a little bit of scripting going on, to be honest, but we do get back into the game. This was all done using that attacking version of the tactic as well. So again, it's not a bad thing going a goal down. It's not ideal, but apparently it's a curse of the goalkeepers, because we are going to get back into the game. That is 2 stinkers from 2 very good goalkeepers there. And we actually go on to win this game in literally the last, well, the first bit of extra time, really. The last bit of the extra time, but we'll take it. It's a good win. And lastly, the clear powerhouse of the video is going to be over with Salzburg in the Austrian Premier Division, or Red Bull Salzburg, should we say. Now, I will go over and just be very honest. Obviously, Salzburg are a clear favourite in this league, and therefore the results are obviously going to be the best. But we've had Ipswich, a relegation team. We've had Dortmund as like a top 4 team. This is our powerhouse. Now, the FA Cup was a 3-0 absolute stampede, and Kiergaard absolutely thrives in this system, by the way. Runners-up in the Europa League, unfortunately, PSG somehow end up in there, which is an absolute joke to the game. It really, really is. But the actual Austrian division, we are going to dominate, and it is to be expected. I mean, looking at the stats here, 67% of the ball, great pass completion, a good amount of goals, great amount of shots for us as well, and just goals overall in general. We absolutely dominated every stat line because we are obviously the clear powerhouse, but again, Data Hub is going to be improved. This is in the video for those that are playing as a top team, or maybe you've got the same save for 10, 15 years, and you've got a team for the Wonder Kids that make you the best team in the league. So I do like to include it in there because this is the max you can see from this tactic. And I will say, this tactic is the attacking version. Whenever we use different variants, they are for very good reasons. So with Ipswich, we use the defensive version. For Dortmund, we use the neutral version. And for Salzburg, we use the attacking version. So that is why you need to make sure you're going and either copying all three or, of course, going over and downloading all three, because we do use all three not only to test with, but also in-game scenarios. But let's go over now. Let's break down the tactic. And the Austrian FA Cup, probably the easiest cup we did play in, because I will say the quality in our team is just superior to anyone we played. A bit of trickery there from Kiergaard to go 1-0 up inside of 27 minutes. And from this point on, the second half pretty much decided the game, because 49 minutes on the clock, it's going to be Blank, Find and Bidstrup in the midfield, into Dedic, one of the better wing-backs in the entire game, who is going to find Kiergaard, and let's say the goalkeepers aren't the best quality when it comes to this competition, so you can pretty much strike from wherever you want to. Blank's then going to pick up the ball into Bidstrup again, that deadly partnership, and a lot of these goals might look quite direct, but you do have the possession, so don't worry about that. But now, of course, it was your favourite part of the video. That is going to be the tactic breakdown. If you are enjoying, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And once again, if you are interested in rebuilds, do come over to Daily Josh. The channel is absolutely banging. I'm going to pop a thumbnail on the screen right now so you can make the decision whether you want to come over. We've got some of the best rebuilds you can see on the market, and all of these tactics get supplied the rebuild. So it's a good sort of combo. You can see how the tactics do over 5 years. But to make this tactic, all you want to do is load in, funny enough, a tiki-taka style. And because it is no shape, which you very rarely see, you're going to have to go down here and find it. It's going to be a 4-3-2-1. Unique shape, excellent results. Right then, let's go over and talk about some player roles. So the first thing you want to do, by the way, is make sure the mentality is set to positive and you are on tiki-taka. I know mine says clean slate, it's because I'm going to show you how to do everything from scratch. Now, in terms of the goalkeeper, we are going to operate with a sweeper keeper, but he is simply going to be set to the defensive variant. So nothing really too much needed from him. At the end of the day, we're usually the team in possession. We very rarely get any balls played over the top, so the keeper doesn't need to do too much sweeping, but because it is a possession-based tactic, I want him to be quite good with the ball. Now, when it comes to the fullbacks, we are going to operate with 2 fullbacks. One on the right is going to be set to attack, and he is going to have a fair few instructions. So let's go over and do that right now. We are going to have him set to run wide, sit narrow, tackle harder, and also set to mark tighter. This combo of sit narrow and then running wide is something that I really like doing in the tactics now. It works really, really well. We are then going to have 2 ball-playing defenders, so let's go over and make them changes right away. And on the right-hand side, we are going to have 2 instructions, set to dribble more and also set to tackle harder. I want my players to be confident building up from the back. Of course, with Ipswich, that defensive version, they're not doing it. But if you're a team top 4 and above, you can definitely play this way. It's actually quite good in the match engine as well. So both of the ball players are going to both be dribbling more and also tackling harder. The fullback on the left as well is going to be identical. So attack, we're also going to have him sit narrow, run wide, tackle harder, and also mark tighter. Again, that incredible sit narrow but run wide combo. It works really, really well. Now let's go over and actually learn a little bit about this midfield. So we are going to operate with an anchor as the sort of anchor in the team, funny enough, and we are going to have him simply set to tackle harder. Now, I tested different roles, DMs, registers, all sorts of roles, and for the default version, this is by far the best version. And so, you know what, I'm going to say it, probably my most favourite to use because it is the balanced sort of hybrid of having good possession but scoring goals. It's not too attacking, you have high levels of everything, and it's just a nice consistent tactic. Going over to the rest of the team, on the left hand side of the first two, we are going to have a box to box on support, and he's going to have two instructions consistent of passing it shorter and also tackling harder. You are going to see a few players on passing it short because I want to keep the passes quite compressed, quite small, keep the team together and dominate the ball. Next to him we are going to go with a CM, but he's going to be set to defend, so again quite a defensively sound tactic as well. We are also going to have him set to shorter and also a little different one, but shoot less often, because when I was testing this and making the tactic before we're actually happy with the final products, I noticed him actually having quite a fair few shots, and it was wasteful. Unless you've got like a Jude Bellingham or a De Bruyne, someone with incredible long shots, you don't really want them shooting too often. I do want to quickly say at this point in the video, if you are enjoying, be sure to leave a like, and if you are interested in getting all of these wonderful perks, you can come over and check out the Patreon. You get all of my year's tactics from this entire year and from FM23. You also get all of my rebuild files and, like I said, all of these perks. And right now we've got 20% off each new member, so make sure you come on over and take advantage, because we've got a big giveaway, loads of perks, and we've got close to 5,000 people. But let's go over and build up to the rest of the team. We're then going to operate with two AMs, and both of them are simply going to be set to attack, and both of them are going to share the same instructions, that being moving into the channels and also roaming from the position. So that's going to be the same for the right, as it is going to be exactly the same for the left hand side. Move into the channels and simply roam. When it comes to the striker, I actually kept it pretty simple. In fact, so simple that it's going to be exactly what you see on your screen. A nice simple default advanced forward. Going into the team instructions, we are going to drop it down by 1 to fairly narrow. Again, compress the team, quite compact, easy to have the ball. We are then going to look to overlap left, overlap right, while playing out from the back. Again, we have got two ball playing defenders, so it makes complete sense to do so. We are also going to have this set to low crosses, work ball into the box. This is where it can be a bit optional, because if you are like not that possession fussed, you could leave it on short, or shorter should I say, but I like the ball, so I went all the way down to much shorter, the tempo up to slightly higher, dribble less for possession reasons, and also be more expressive. But again, it would work still completely very good if you had this set to shorter, but for me, I went with much shorter. In transition, we're going to counter press, leave this nice and blank. I don't want to hold the shape, I don't want to counter, so therefore, best situation, leave it blank. Distribute quickly, play to the centre backs, and simply take short goal kicks. And lastly, out of possession, we are going to deploy the high press with the much expected, much higher defensive line. We're going to max this out, prevent short goalkeeper distribution. We've got an advance forward to attacking midfield players. We can easily win the ball back, as you saw in the highlights, get stuck in, and also step up more. Now that is going to give you the default version of the tactic, but you best know, if you've been on the channel a long time, this is the attacking version, designed for more better teams, or for any team if you're trying to grab a goal. Now, the big change here actually isn't along the back line, so the goalkeeper, the ball players, the fullbacks remain exactly the same, because they already do their job quite well and already quite attacking anyway. The big change, first big change, is the DLP. He comes in on defend, on tackle harder, a bit more progressive with the passing, and makes a lot more sense. The box to box remains the same. The CM goes to automatic, on pass at short, shoot less, but this time get further forwards, roam, and move into the channels. And both of the shadow strikers are the other changes, of course from the AMs, simply on roam. The advanced forward, he remains the same. When it comes to the team instructions, the big change is the mentality. That is going to go up to attacking. The attack and whip remains the same. All of this good stuff remains exactly the same, because I didn't want to change the DNA of the tactic too much, but it does change a bit in the defensive version. But in the attacking one, I wanted to keep it quite, you know, along the same sorts of paths, to the fact of where we even kept the same tempo, because I didn't really want to affect it too much. So that is going to be literally exactly the same. The only thing I did change was in transition. The counter press, all of this remains the same, but I did choose counter. Now this will affect the possession a little bit, you know, maybe by, we're talking minuscule amounts, but it just gets the attacks flowing a little bit quicker and a little bit more direct. And when you are playing as a top team, you can take that risk of going quicker, and when you're trying to chase a goal, that is literally what you have to be doing anyway. In terms of out of possession, it is going to be literally exactly the same, so I'm not going to waste your time with that at all. And that puts us on to the underdog Ipswich Town version, which is perfect for anyone playing with a smaller team that doesn't really have quality wingers, or maybe you've got loads of good central players. So the striker does remain the same, I will say. The AMs both go down to support on roam and move into the channels. The CM on the left is on automatic, on pass at short, take fewer risks, shoot less, hold position, and also tackle harder. The CM on the right is on defend, on pass at short, and shoot less often. And the anchor comes in on defend, simply on tackle harder. So back in with that anchor role. The backline also sees quite a big change. The ball players even do, as they both drop now to default. No dribbling more, no tackling harder. And the fullbacks both now on automatic, on sit narrow, tackle harder, and also mark tighter. Now, you've seen the changes in terms of the player roles. In the team instructions, there's also going to be some big changes, because we are still going to be on the tiki-taka style on the positive mentality, and this still is going to be fairly narrow, but it changes a fair bit. We still are going to play out from the back, we still are going to have low crosses, but this time we're going a little bit more direct, because we are Ipswich Town or a small team, and we are going to go up to two slightly more direct, play for set pieces, run at defence, and also the time wasting is going to be set to sometimes. Now, if you are going into a game like this, as in you're playing a whole season, do not have the time wasting on. But if you are trying to seal out a game, obviously start to time waste. Also, make sure, if you are on the Patreon, get my set pieces, because the amount of hype they've had this year is absolutely unbelievable. That's why I have them on, because usually my centre-backs are scoring 10 plus goals a season, so make sure you go over and get them, because they're absolutely nuts. We are then going to go over to the in transition, and that's going to be regroup again, not counter-pressing, countering when we've got the ball, because we can hit the ball over the top, slow the pace down, play to anybody across the back line while taking simple short goal kicks. And lastly, out of possession, we are going to deploy the high press with the standard line, nice and standard, balanced, the trigger press up by 1, 2 more often, and simply get stuck in. And that's going to give you, boys and girls, not 1, not 2, but 3 versions of the tiki-taka 4-3-2-1. It's a formation that I rarely use in the game. I really come to use this tactic when I was playing with Leipzig, and I thought, do you know what? I got Xavi Simons on the permanent. I also kept Danny Olmo. This was a few, before he went to Barca, sadly, and it actually really suited this team. So it does work a lot, very, very well in this game. You do need the right players and the right team to make it happen, and there aren't too many sort of teams which are tailored to it, but what you can do is obviously sign players for it. So United might even be a good option here. You could have the likes of, Hoyland, you could have Bruno, you could have Garnacho in one of these roles, Ahmad, you could sign a Wirtz, you could have a lot of fun with it. So hopefully you do enjoy. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Make sure you come over to the second channel as well, and I'll see you in the next one.